Randolph's film, like we all do. Obviously, I need to thank the great Yorgos Lanthimos. I remember when he brought me the book, I was excited because I'd never adapted a book before, and then I read the book and I was like, the baby's brain in the woman's head, this probably shouldn't be the one. But I also love Bala, and I felt like it was a real opportunity to tell a story about control and about just a woman who had a sort of love of life and an adventure with optimism about our experience. And Yorgos had such a vision, and it was such a joy. And to then have actors like Emma and Mark and Willem and Rami, I don't think any writer could be more grateful or more lucky. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you for this.
Yeah. I sat back down, he was like, now you can come up. All right, now I'm up here. How y'all doing? What's up, y'all? Where the energy at? Okay, I won't be long. Please don't play the music on me. I'm gonna hurry up. Okay, first of all, Amy, I love you so much. Thank you. I want to start by thanking my God Almighty, because through Him all things are possible. So Father God, thank you, and continue to remind me that your love and blessings does not come with conditions, and for that I will continue to humbly submit to you with a thankful heart. Secondly, I want to gracefully thank the NBR for bestowing me with this amazing honor. I'm beyond touched, and I'm so grateful. Thank you for seeing me. To my girl Inez, for you to be someone who has never truly received love without conditions, I'm in awe of your capacity to exhibit not only the love for everyone around you, but one of the deepest and most unconditional loves I've ever experienced on and off screen. That is a life skill that not many possess. So in case no one has ever told you, you are an amazing mother, you are seen, you are regarded, you are enough, and I love you, girl. So many of us are you, so I thank you for me and every other mother out there acting on the mother's love that only we would know. I delight in showing up for you and giving you a voice, and I know that God is showing up for me through you. A journey of walking 1,001 miles start with a single step. So to my village that helped me show up for Inez, A.V. Rockwell, I love you so much. Thank you for seeing me. Thank you for trusting me with something so near and dear to you. Lena, Rishi, my beautiful baby girls, my parents. Hey, Mom. Everybody saying you look like my sister, girl. I see you, my beautiful mother, my amazing cast and crew, the entire production staff, my WME family, the aunties, the lead company, my whole support system. There would be no Inez without you. Thank you so much, NBR, again. Thank you. Y'all enjoy the rest of the night. Hey, Bradley, congratulations! Ah!
Truth in 2006.
And last time she was my daughter's bat mitzvahs. But I'm gonna get the check tonight.
Amazing and wonderful. Thank you. Apple Original Films, thank you. I never get to thank you properly. Molly Thompson. We pitched you, what if you could make a documentary that felt like an 80s Michael J. Fox movie? And you said, yeah, cool. And thank you for giving us the means to do that and support and faith. Thank you.
I want to thank Apple. I think it's so amazing to us and the support of this film. And Davis called me about 2 or 3 years ago and said he read one of my books and he wanted what I had. And I said, you're out of your mind. I want this. We had conversations.
I was talking about
hurry up. But we ended up seeing an approach. My mother-in-law's house in Martha's Vineyard, talking about life and talking about what we want, what we have, what we've lost, and what we're gonna lose, and what we gain by losing it. And I had a lot of things I said that David's picked up on, are things like Parkinson's has been a gift. It's been a gift that keeps on taking. It's been a gift because it's given me insight and an audience to talk about what's possible. And it's been such a great experience working with a master filmmaker. And documentaries, we tend to think of documentaries as journalism, and they are journalism. They're also cinema, and he's a master. He tricked me into saying shit I didn't want it. And then I said it again. And so I thank you, and my brother, you're just an amazing talent.
When you really want to thank Nancy Gates, who said yes. We want to thank Tracy for allowing us to
Let me do that. Tracy, thank you. I love you so much, and you're so generous, and all my kids, so generous in allowing you to step into their lives and take little bits of it, use it. And this Tracy, thank you.
Annetta Marion, Will Cohen, and we have to talk about the great wizard, Michael Hart. The editor of this movie, the other night he said I was like a father figure, which was like I'm old, and so I would like to call you a brilliant toddler. If you were to, when you dropped out of high school, in Burnaby, Canada, what did you want?
I wanted to be in the movies. It's a cautionary tale that it didn't happen in the way that it should have. I dropped out of high school in the 11th grade and moved to the States and lived on the corner of Shirley Way and Olympic, right at the corner of the old Fly Slot, and lived in a one-room apartment. And somehow this happened. What was strange was that this happened, and then Parkinson's happened. In a way, Parkinson's is much more valuable, much more important than becoming a filmmaker. It just opened my eyes to the world in a way that I didn't expect to have happen to me. I don't know.
I think it's beautiful. I think it's beautiful that you responded to what life threw at you in such a beautiful, inspiring way. You changed my life, and you're a beautiful man. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jessica. Thank you so much for your beautiful words. Sorry. Wow. Okay. I'm so happy and honored to be here tonight, accepting this award in a room full of people that I admire. Sorry for my English. I grew up and built an important part of my love for films with American cinema. And I take the occasion here tonight to say a few words to someone who has been a huge part of this history. Mr. Scorsese, I want to say... Woo! I want to say something about New York, New York. I saw it for the first time when I was a teenager, and I believe that it was a film about what it is to be an artist. But I understood when I saw it recently, 25 years later, that it was in fact about two artists trying to love each other and to live together. It resonates with a sentence by Oscar Wilde: a couple should be one, yes, but which one? And by the way, the car scene in New York, New York has traumatized me for life. And thank you for that. I had to pay my debt to someone else, and this might sound like a joke, but really it is not. I want to officially say thank you to Lieutenant Colombo and to Peter Falk and his genius, and his genius French voice, Serge Sauvion, who doesn't say Los Angeles but Los Angeles. Because if I have a penchant for true crime stories, it probably comes from there. I used to watch all the episodes religiously with my mother when I was a child, and I never stopped watching them again since then. It's like a drug, I don't know why. I want to extend my gratitude to the exceptional Sandra Hüller.
Yeah!
She would have been such a good guest in Colombo, by the way. I thank Milo, Antoine, Swan, and of course Snoop. Maybe some of you are still wondering if Sandra killed her husband or not. I have one advice: watch the dog. He is an animal, he has instinct, maybe he knows. Anyway, he will be soon here in the US for the promotion, and this is true. And he will be, I was very surprised, but he will be there to answer of all your questions. Thank you to my producers, to my co-writer and partner Arthur Harry, my two daughters who are a great inspiration, and the incredible team at MK2 and Neon, of course. Thank you for all.
Woo!
Hi! Woo! Guys, I was just talking about how high the ceiling is. I've never been in a room with such high ceilings. It's so nice to see you guys. Hi. All right, I'll read the thing. As I see Beats, thank you so much for being here tonight. You give me so much strength and confidence in this room. Thank you, Annie Shuloff, and the National Board Review for this incredible award, and also for including Past Lives in your top 10 list. It means the world to me and our team. So I'm so honored to be a part of the history of this great American and New York institution with its radical roots of protecting free speech and championing the new art of the people. Without your love and support and word of mouth, an independent film like Past Lives could not survive and thrive the way that it has this year. Am I too close to the microphone? Okay, sorry. I think I am, sorry. Thank you so much for embracing our film and for welcoming us. So while traveling nationally and globally with this film, I've been asked how I was able to make my directorial debut with so much authority and creative freedom. And I usually answer this question by talking about my producers, David Hinojosa, Pam Koffler, and Christine Bouchon, who have championed independent cinema for 35 legendary years. I still remember the second day on set when I was feeling completely terrified and uncertain and like everything was falling apart. Christine said to me, "You're the director, you're killing it, you know everything about how to make this movie, and so we're just gonna be here to do everything you want us to do." And she said this in a way that was so convincing, it made me believe it completely, and I never questioned it since. I also want to thank A24, our incredible cast, Greta Lee, Teo Yu, and Jim Magaro. Greta is in Vancouver, Teo is in Seoul, and John is right there. John is right there. And both are in New York and Seoul crew, you know, who work so hard in these cities. So thank you all for believing in me, always. I'm standing up here alone, but I know you're all with me. There's an Eastern concept in our film called inyan, which is the miraculous connection and love we have with each other just by being in the same room at the same time. And it's the result of thousands of lives that we've shared before this one. And this means that everyone in this room is inyan with each other and also with our film. And our entire filmmaking team felt this deeply while making our film, making Past Lives. And with this incredible award in my hand, I feel as though many of you might feel the same. So thank you all for letting me share what it's like to be human and to love and to be loved. Thank you so much.
Ian for coming tonight, and Fred Berner. Gideon was amazing as Tommy Cawthorn, the maestro. I was lucky enough to work with him. Friendship. Thank you, National Board of Review, for inviting me here tonight so I could meet for the first time Divine Joy Randolph. That was a big thing for me. So I got to tell her how inspiring she is. That's really what it's all about. Friendship, like you said, Annie. It's what is the reason I'm still alive and standing here in front of you. It's people that have been there for me and that I've had the responsibility to be there for them. And seeing Michael J. Fox, I remember when I was a kid, there was like Tom Cruise, Michael J. Fox. And it was like, I love Risky Business, I love Top Gun, but it was Secret of My Success and Doc Hollywood. Those were the movies that I watched all the time. And because there was something about what he did that I felt like he was my friend. And Family Ties, I learned all these like life lessons from just watching Family Ties. And Daniel Day-Lewis, I used to sit in the French roast. When I first moved to New York City, I was going to the news school, and I went to the French roast, and I saw, I was like, oh my God, it's fucking Daniel Day-Lewis. And he was drinking a Cafe au lait like this. Sorry to embarrass you, Daniel. And I would go to that seat every day. I'm not kidding, I know something's wrong with me. And I would order the Cafe au lait, and I would sit there and do the thing. No one was across from me. Becca Miller was across from me at the time. And I felt like, these people were my friends. And even Killers of the Flower Moon, sometimes friendship between people like Leonardo DiCaprio, Martin Scorsese, and Robert De Niro can yield art that then we could all benefit from. That, I think, is why I loved doing Maestro so much, is because Lenny created music is the way that is even a more powerful, I think, way of doing that. You feel like you know the composer by just listening and wrapping yourself in the music. And researching Maestro, I fell in love and felt like I was friends with Lenny and Felicia and their children. I never met Lenny, but I miss him. But I get to live inside his music, and I got to live inside his music, and we all did for those years that we did the movie, and that, that is the greatest experience of my life. And when you go to these events and you think about what's to benefit from it, it's being here in rooms like this and just witnessing what people were saying on stage, and looking out and seeing faces that I love. I'm a very grateful man today, and I'm very happy to be here. And Annie, those words mean a lot. Thank you for the pizza ups. Thank you. And thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. Did y'all just catch that Bradley Cooper knows who I am now? Bradley, my agents have strict instructions now to contact your team. Y'all heard it. It's happening. So you see in deadline in 2 weeks that we're in the show together. It happened here. Thank you. Very kind words. Thank you. I mean it from the bottom of my heart. Thank you to the National Board of Review for this incredible honor. As some of you might know, I got my start in New York, cutting my teeth in Broadway in the musical Ghost. I am always excited for the opportunity to come back to the city, even if it's just for a couple of days. I can still remember the route I would take to work and the path that I would take to cut through Central Park. Coming back to these familiar streets, I'm reminded in many ways of how much my life has changed. This journey has been a whirlwind, and I am so blessed to be on it. Noma, thank you for your kind words, my love. You are a shining example of talent and grace in this industry. It is an absolute honor to learn from you, and I feel so grateful that our paths cross on Only Murders. Thank you for your support and your commitment to your craft, and for giving me the opportunity to perfect my British accent, darling. Alexander, where are you? There you are, my guy. Alexander, your talent is simply unmatched. Your kindness that you show to your actors and crew is unlike something every director should strive for, Many a director would have looked at me sideways when I said I wanted to chop up vegetables and stir up oatmeal myself. which is surprisingly a very hard thing to do when you think about it, because as those takes go, it gets thicker and thicker, and it's hard to mix it around. But I said I was going to do it, and I committed to it. I do not recommend it. Don't do that. But you knew how important it was to me, and you created a space for me as an actress, as a Black woman, where I could explore and thrive in this beautiful world. Paul, I done a couple of these things now, and as I sit here and write these words, I don't want to be repeating myself, but I really don't have any words to express my love for you. First, as a human being. First and foremost, this man's spirit, his honor, he is a gentleman and he is full of class. I am so grateful to have had the distinguished pleasure to work with you, but most importantly, if I may, to call you a friend. That feels like an embarrassment of riches, knowing you have made me a better actor, but more importantly, a better person, and I thank you. To our Dominic, what a joy it was to see you now starting off in your career. You have such a talent, and your very first role is truly astonishing. There's a quote by the poet Rumi that says, "What you seek is seeking you." And to be honest, I feel like I have been seeking Mary Lamb my entire baby career. Ever since I was a student at Yale School of Drama, I have searched for a role like this that would allow me to do exactly what I have been meant to do. The chance to play a woman with such beauty and such depth. I like to think that a little spark of Mary was swirling around in the universe, searching for me, and that like a little piece of my soul was waiting for her to land. I only hope I have given her half of what she has given me. Thank you so much.
Amazing. 15-9. Oh, that's my code check. Sorry. I'm used to being behind the camera. That joke. My daughters would be rolling their eyes. Thank you, Brigitte. I really, really appreciate your words, and I do love you too. Thank you. Thank you so much to the NBR. I'm really honored tonight. It's incredible to be in this amazing room. It's beautifully lit, by the way. You know, there's some epic moments in life, and this is certainly one of them. But you know, my first kiss with my wife, Monica, when we were 20, my daughter's being born, my first day in film school, the day I met Martin Scorsese, and tonight is an epic. As a cinematographer, I really try to, support the stories and the performances as much as possible, but it's also a personal exploration. So I choose movies that touch me and that I find that are important to me in some way. And certainly Killers of the Flower Moon is a film that, for me, was also an exploration of what it means to be American. And by American, I mean the continent. Remember, we're in a continent called America, and we're all, in the end, we're all immigrants and natives, and just understanding, or trying to understand my little part in all this, and telling the story was a true gift, really a true gift to me. Thank you. Thank you so much, Marty. Deep gratitude. And then Barbie, that for me was an exploration of womanhood and manhood and what it means, and as a Ken myself, I've learned that I am Ken-enough, so thank you. Martin Scorsese, my idol, now we've collaborated, and I just find it incredible to actually say we collaborate. It's just incredible, and now I can count as my friend, and I think that's just a truly incredible thing a place to be. That's why this day is so epic as well. And then Greta, who's not here, her joy for cinema and filmmaking is contagious and just wonderful. So I'm very grateful for her too. Apple Films, Warner Brothers, thank you for giving us this the space, well, the resources and the creative space to do these important films. I mean, you know, films that actually say things about society and about us as individuals. So I'd like to share this with my crew, Grips, Electrics, and Camera, who are part of this. So this, I accept it for them as well. And incredible people. And I'd like to dedicate it to the love of my life, Monica. Thank you.
Okay, I have to have a page in front of me because I'm a writer. Thank you, National Board of Review, for this incredible honor. I'm absolutely thrilled and more than slightly terrified to be here. I've been a writer for 27 years, and it's a pretty solitary profession, so I'm not used to this much face-to-face, you know, enthusiasm. A lot of people I have to thank. I want to thank first and foremost my wife, the brilliant and beautiful Victoria Hemmingson, for putting up with all of the brooding and sobbing that this career entails. I want to thank Bill Block and Miramax and my fellow producer Mark Johnson. I want to thank Focus Features for not just putting the Holdovers out into the world, but for lavishing such loving kindness on our movie. A movie, by the way, which only exists because of one man, Alexander Payne. Yeah, come on, Alexander Payne. Whose genius and generosity made all of this happen. Alexander, thank you for asking me to write this movie for you. Thank you for directing it so brilliantly. Thank you for trusting me, for teaching me, for being my true friend and genuine collaborator, and in doing so, changing my life. Thank you, Devine Joy Randolph. Devine, yes. Devine, you brought Mary's whole history and whole heart to life so thrillingly and endowed her with such incredible strength and sadness and humor while never steering out of the raw truth of her tragedy. You can say more with 30 seconds of silence than most people can say with 2 pages of dialogue. I am in awe of you. Thank you to Dominic Sessa, who stepped into the skin of Angus Tully. Yeah, Dom. Who stepped into the skin of Angus Tully with total conviction and total agility, having never been in any professional production of anything ever. It's hard for me to look at Dom, because when I was 19, I was like working as a janitor at my college dining hall and saving up for like a Camaro. And yet there he is, right? Being so awesome on screen right out of the gate, just a geyser of natural talent, you know, with like perfect hair and like a lot of it. So, you know, I'm a little jealous. That's okay. And thank you to Paul Giamatti. Who else could embody the eloquence, the bile, the shattered hope, and the hidden nobility of Paul Hunnam? Who else could unleash such baroque profanity and withering insults and somehow find the love in them? Who else could have turned a pungent, pedantic heap of rumpled corduroy into this radiant, romantic hero? Only you, Paul. Only you. So thank you for agreeing to don the eyeball and toggle up the duffel coat and lend your absolute mastery to this love story. And that's how I see our movie. A love story between 3 wounded people who find each other in the season of miracles. My mother acquainted me with miracles. My mother, Loretta Cora Hemmingson, raised me alone.
Sorry.
And worked for 42 years as a registered nurse. Thank you. She was the bravest and best person I have ever known. When I was growing up, she would come home from the intensive care unit with these amazing stories, and she saw people every day at their best and at their worst, and she would always tell me, she would come home and sit on my bedside after a shift, and she'd always tell me to try to be kind whenever possible, because you have no idea what people are going through, and everybody, and I mean everybody, is broken. But by finding that sliver of kindness in ourselves, we can let down our guard and connect. And if we connect, we can heal each other, and we'll be stronger in the broken places. And that's kind of a miracle. I believe that in life, Things often arrive right on time. It took 27 years of reflection and experience and ups and downs for me to be able to tell this love story. It took this brilliant cast and this brilliant director to bring it to life at this moment when we are all so in need of connection. So I accept this small miracle in memory of my mother who raised me, my uncle who saved me, and my father who gave me love with the written word. Thank you.
So I just made up something. So if you be patient with me, they usually don't ask us to speak in full sentences. I think Basil said it as we were sitting there. We feel like Emilio Estevez in The Breakfast Club. We're kind of like, oh, these are the artsy, cool kids, and we're the nerds, the meatheads. Doing the best I can. We'd like to first and foremost, obviously, thank the NBR for acknowledging the entire STEM community. It is a community. It's something that Chad and I have been part of for, I think, 35 years now. So we have many dear friends and been through a lot together. We'd like to thank Basil and Erica and of course the amazing Keanu Reeves. We stand before you on generations, multiple generations of incredible stuntmen and stuntwomen. And I'm going to tell a little story about Chad. He may kill me. You may get to see a little live action. But years ago, I remember, and this was in the early 90s, a very young Chad Stahelski and myself, along with other John Wick alumni, Dave Leach, the director from the first one, the co-director, Darren Prescott, one of the key individuals that created the action for the first three, and J.J. Perry, another close friend of ours. We were around sitting playing cards, and we were just young stunt guys hoping to get another day of work, hoping to get an opportunity to work in this amazing business. Lo and behold, soon after that, Chad went off to do Matrix. Darren Prescott and myself got to go do The Bournes. I think Dave doubled Brad Pitt. But in that conversation, everybody was pushing themselves to make better and better movies. And lo and behold, I would like to say that I think Chad, and specifically Chad, Dave also, has pushed that envelope. I mean, John Wick, you can see the DNA of Matrix, and you can see The Bournes, and Chad has proven that action and story don't need to be mutually exclusive, but they can be closely intertwined. And I think that's what makes John Wick such an amazing film to watch. You see the growth as Chad as an artist from the first one to the fourth one. His artistry is taken from the best of Buster Keaton, Harold Lloyd, Charlie Chaplin, as well as John Ford, and the great musicals of the 40s and 50s. There's a rhythm to John Wick that is not any other. There's many assassin movies that don't excite us like that. But I think Chad has tapped into a rhythm and a beat that is interesting, and along with his partner in Keanu Reeves that cherishes and loves to play that part. So, to wrap this all up, we accept this award not only on behalf of John Wick for the international stunt team, and it truly was an international stunt team. I'd also like to thank Laurent Deminoff, who was the French fight choreographer. He's amazing. And Koji, our Japanese fight choreographer. Thank you. A number of those concussions he mentioned earlier were mine, so too many of those injuries. So on behalf of the international, the John Wick stunt team, but also on behalf of the entire stunt community, we are honored to be the first. I personally would like to thank my lovely wife and the one that makes it all worth for me. Thank you.
Thank you, National. That was really moving to me. Thank you, National Board of Review. It's pretty badass to be honored by you. If you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. I've attended many of these, but never come close to being up here talking. So, Marty, thank you for giving me a part in your movie and letting me be able to say I worked with you. Laura, I love you. So, I still think I don't need glasses, which is a totally absurd notion. Laura, the truth is, it's really unlikely that I would even be here without your belief in me so long ago in my final audition for You Can Count on Me. That whole thing was hinging on a chemistry read with you, to see if you and I could possibly be seen as a brother and sister combination because you were blonde and I was brunette. It was the reason I had to beg Kenny Lonergan for the audition in the first place. But we shared something else, something unspoken, something kindred in spirit, felt by everyone in that room the moment you said, hello, to me. And so warmly and kindly. And I felt certain at that moment that the part would be mine and my life would be changed forever. And it was true. And it was because of you. I'm so grateful for our friendship and the years of support you've given me. My God, is my life full of so many people that believed in me and helped me along the way, from my high school acting teacher who convinced me it was not too late to take on acting at age 18. Or my teacher, Joanne Linville at the Stella Adler Conservatory, who at 18 took me under her wing and showed me the beauty and the graciousness of art and the idea of acting and the playwrights and they used to say you should have to pay to go to church and the theater should be free. Right? Yeah. That's where we learn to be human beings. From my very first manager, who was just the most hated man in the world, but such a tenacious bulldog, Robert Stein, who just never would take no for an answer. To my amazing team I have today, Aline, Shani Rosenzweig, Billy Lazarus, who's here tonight, Scott, Margaret, Jessica Kolstad, who's here tonight, Keith, Stewart, and Greta Seacat. You make the dreams a reality. I mean, all along the way, just such acts of kindness and generosity. I have to tell you, the legendary costumer, Ann Roth, do you know her? Woo! Who, after my brain tumor, brought me to meet M. Night Shyamalan and tried to save my participation in the movie by convincing him that I was still the man for the part, even though I couldn't move my face or close my eye. Who does that? I mean, get down here, Mark. I'm paralyzed. No, get down here. We're going to show him. Who does that? What, such grace, such kindness, such generosity. Honestly, I was terrified to take this part. It just feels like we're all so afraid these days to push against the norms, to break these invisible molds that we've either set for ourselves or someone else has placed us in. It's just so dull. And I'm so grateful to Yorgos and Emma, who saw me in their Duncan Wedderburn when I couldn't even see it myself. I mean, I begged him to not give me the part. I laughed at my own joke. But man, was it fun to break free and fly free. I encourage everyone to do that, to flirt with disaster, because fear robs us of so much, and so many people seem to be so afraid today, but courage conquers all. That should be our mantra. Even when sometimes we find ourselves standing alone. The person that has always been here by my side through thick and thin for more than half my life, through the good and the bad, the joy and the tears, and lots of tears, is my beautiful, wonderful partner, friend, greatest critic, and my greatest champion, Sunrise. I know what a pain in the ass I am. And my kids, my mom and my dad and my kids, Keen, Bella, and Odette, for teaching me so much about vulnerability, about honesty, about what it is to be a human being. I'm so grateful to you for our closeness and our vulnerability together. And Tony McNamara, who's honored here tonight. Man, thank you for just a fantastic script. I mean, who gets to say those kinds of words in that order with such profanity and humor and still come off as someone who has pathos? I mean, thank you for that. And David Greenbaum, Searchlight Film 4, Element, Ed Guiney, Andrew, TSG, thanks for the guts to make this masterpiece. And lastly, my Emma Stone, you're the greatest dance partner a guy could ever ask to grace the floor with. And I just want to say, nobody does this art form alone. Nobody does life alone. So I'm going to end with a two-word prayer used by the Lakota people. And this is their most sacred prayer. Medakwie Oyase, meaning we are all related. That means everything on earth and everything in the universe in relationship to each other. We're not alone. Medakwie Oyase.
All right, so thank you to the NBR for this amazing honor. I was just going to say a quick thing. I promise we'll be quick. Thank you to Luna for your performance as Rio. It truly is the heartbeat of this movie. It's spoken with such truth and love, and you're the best. So this is a coming-of-age story not only for kids, but also for their parents. This movie centers around characters from all walks of life, and audiences around the globe were able to connect with it and see themselves in these characters. Being a human of a certain age, it's not lost on me that when I ask my son and his friends and his friends' friends who Spider-Man is, they say it's Miles Morales. Animation is the ultimate team sport, and this team, 1,000 artists strong, brought themselves to this film with every handcrafted frame. It's beautiful, it's generous, and it's a sight to behold. And before I step aside, I just want to say that this is what movies are supposed to be: a collective, personal, moving work of art. Thank you.
I love that some people are actually wearing the hat. Thank you so much. That makes me feel. There's a few, that's awesome. I don't actually come from the field of animation. I was actually groomed in the world of theater and live action filmmaking. But I've always admired animation for having some of what I think is the best storytelling in cinema. You know, Bambi, Beauty and the Beast, WALL-E. You could just go on and on. That's why to me, the best animated films are among the best pieces of cinema, period. I was drawn to Spider-Verse because of the emotional core of the story that we wanted to tell. Despite all the fighting and the kicking and the action and the heroes and villains, it's just an intimate story about an Afro-Latino kid and his family. And that was really personal to me because I was actually living through the same parental growing pains as the characters in our film with my own son as we were making the movie. And my son is 19 now, and I remind him, like, every time you see Spider-Verse, you were pissing me off that much while I was trying to make that film. So we ultimately just wanted to make a movie that reminded everyone in the audience that no matter who you are, what you look like, or where in the world you live, we see you. You have power, and the hero's journey is ultimately yours. Thanks.
Wow. Thank you to the NBR, and congratulations to all the other people honored tonight. When Phil and Chris first asked us what we wanted to do, they were so generous. They just kept asking, what do you want to see? You know, producers like that who support you the whole way. And we said, we want to see these worlds come to life and express for them what they cannot say on screen. We wanted the walls to cry for them when they couldn't cry themselves. We wanted to see the paint strokes move across the screen with the characters. It was our goal to make something that no one had ever attempted before in an animated film. We wanted to do something truly ambitious. Every shot in this film is a VFX shot. So I really have to thank Michael Lasker and his entire crew of incredible visual effects artists. They revolutionized the way these movies are made and remind us that visual effects are not just an engineering marvel, but an expressive art form unto itself. 6 worlds, 200 characters, 1,000 artists. And none of that would matter if it wasn't a story centered around characters that felt like people you've known your entire life, in a story about a boy who refused to let others tell him where he belongs. Thank you also to our composer Daniel Pemberton for his outrageously awesome score, and a huge thanks to our amazing cast for bringing those characters to life. Lauren Luna Velez, Shamik Moore, Haley Stanfield, JC Schwartzman, Jake Johnson, Daniel Kaluuya, Mahershala Ali, Issa Rae, Greta Lee, Brian Tyree Henry, and Oscar Isaac have all made these characters come to life in a way that we never could have imagined. We hope this honor tonight inspires other filmmakers to create universes they have always wanted to see. Push this art form in your own unique ways, and don't ever let anyone tell you that you don't belong. Thank you.
Saying all those things. This isn't real. This isn't real. Daniel Day-Lewis, did that just happen? Of course, this is not a dream. I'm sitting between Patti Smith and Daniel Day-Lewis. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm already taking it, but you all just take a moment to breathe in all of the awesomeness that is Patti Smith. Patti, I'm truly in awe of your guts, your integrity, your artistry, the way you live and breathe it. Thank you. I guess I'm a little tall on these heels. Your approach to art and life, I try to emulate. I'm going to change my wardrobe to impress you tonight. It just... It means the world to me to have a boundary breaker like you speak on my behalf tonight. It's very unreal, honestly. I just want to share my heartfelt thanks to the National Board of Review for supporting me and breaking some boundaries too. There's some pretty historic things going on because Marty decided to make this film the way that he did, and like Mark said, you put me in one of your movies, now I can say that. To be recognized not only in your company, but also of our brilliant cinematographer, Rodrigo Brito. This is a night our whole film is being celebrated, our whole cast, and that just makes this all the more meaningful and humbling to be up here. So thank you all, National Board of Review, for seeing me and seeing us, seeing our film. This kind of acknowledgement reminds us Indigenous stories, they are, while so underrepresented, they impact all of us. We are all on Indigenous land, we are all on Native land. We've got to acknowledge Lenape-Hoking, land of Lenape. So close to Wall Street, which is named Wall Street, as many of you know, to keep Lenape out of their homelands. And that's true. There is still a commonality to be found in all of our experience as human beings. You know, as Mark said, as Lakota say, we're all related. There's something of profound value we can all take away from witnessing an individual's story, whether foreign or familiar to us, and when it's fully and authentically realized, as I hope and know we did in our film. So, Marty, I want to thank you, but I also have been tasking myself, because getting to play Molly the way that you created space for her to live on screen allowed me to go through a language revitalization effort, which is activism. It is revolutionary to be speaking these languages, these words on film. And it's a strange thing as an actor to speak your character's language better than you speak your own. So a word I've picked up recently comes from my people, Blackfeet Nation. Nitsika taikitsi, nitsika taikitsi, which means I can feel the good in what you have done. Marty, thank you for your dedication to ensuring Molly's story was fully realized. It's been a great privilege to step into the shoes of someone who has such deep layers, such dignity, such a purity of heart, and dogged belief and love. Marty's reputation as a master filmmaker has been well earned over his legendary career, but with Killers of the Flower Moon, he expanded his palette in a way that made space for voices and places that might otherwise not have had a light shined on them, and invited me to join him on that mission. For this, I will be forever grateful. And, you know, my dad has become a bit of a prophet over the years. He told me when I was very young, when he was explaining to me how you were friends with Robbie Robertson, who I knew of, I didn't know him personally, but I listened to his music. And my dad explained you watching movies in the basement together, and told me that one day Martin Scorsese will make his Indian film. And I know, my dad's uncanny. I have to give immense gratitude and say Wewina to Wajaje, Wewina Wajaje. Thank you to the Osage people. I tell you, we literally couldn't have made this film without the Osage community. They opened their doors to us, they opened their hearts to us, they shared stories with us that showed there was an immense amount of trust. You're entrusted with these things, you carry them with as much integrity and grace as you possibly can. Thank you to every single cast and crew member. There were Osage cast and crew members in every department. We could turn around and ask an Osage if what we were doing was right, and that was just irreplaceable. That just has to be the new precedent for how to make films like this. The film is better for it. It took a filmmaker like Marty who understands that picking up reality as you're making it transcends your own ego as an artist.
And you were sharing stories about learning that the hard way, going to Lakota Nation in the 1970s as a young filmmaker who was maybe a little bit too full of ego after Mean Streets, but you listened. You learned your place very quickly, and you kept coming back, and you came back in a really meaningful, big way. And it takes an elder and a legend to have such insight and have such tenacity as well. To all of the artists who brought the vivid world of Wajaje Osage to life around us, your gifts allowed me to settle freely into the spirit of Mali. Rodrigo, how you expertly trained your lens on this landscape with your exceptional cinematography. Your vision struck the perfect balance between tender and unsettling. You drew audiences so deeply into this complex narrative. And you were always the first voice to me that I just maybe had a good take, because it took Marty a second to come from behind the monitor. But I knew when I saw that look on your face that, okay, that one was a good one. To my scene partners, my on-screen sisters and mother, who became my extended family making this, to the Mr. Robert De Niro, and all of the undeniably talented native cast, some of who are here tonight, who lent their truth to this film. Tully Redcorn, Yancey Redcorn, and William We're always going to hold this bond of building these characters, building this world, being on this journey together that reveals the shameful chapter in our country's past that happened to our brothers and sisters from the Osage Nation. Leo, you're not here tonight, but you saw what the core of this film could be, what it needed to be, and your unwavering belief in that, following that North Star with your work, both in front of and behind the camera, was brave and empowering. And his choices and uncompromising portrayal of Ernest Burkhart epitomizes the best of what an actor can bring to a role. If Molly brought light, if Molly, as she should have been, was the highlight of the story, then Leo provided the necessary shadow through his portrayal of Ernest. And I feel that. He's a dear friend who continues to allow me to shine. And my performance was very much springboarded off of his. He found the humanity in the most flawed character in the story with his nuanced and masterful performance. Taught us all that we all have a little bit of a trickster nature that we need to keep in check. I also have to thank the incredible team at Apple. You've spoiled me for working with anybody else. And everyone who has helped bring this vital story to the world. The deliberate care that was taken by the team during production and while sharing the film with audiences to treat Osage people with the reverence, respect that they deserve, to center their voices, to bring them on the carpets when actors couldn't speak for the film. You brought Osage community members, and that also should be the new precedent. I hope that this film opens doors for even more significant boundary breaking in our industry. It's just time. Even more opportunities to find universal connection through storytelling. It's been an absolute treasure to be a part of this one. Feel the good in what each other does. And thank you all.
I'm such a big fan, holy cow. This is incredible. Guys, I try to normally not write down speeches for moments like this, but this was just too important. If I mess it up, I would be devastated. I care too much. So I don't want to get it wrong. Holt McCallany, your commitment to your craft is unparalleled. In fact, the way that you portrayed Fritz von Erich was honestly a little bit scary. It was wild watching you transform into that man. It was something truly impressive, and it was motivational for all of us, I think, on set to push ourselves to new boundaries, to search for the soul of our character. I don't know if I can do it like Holt, but...
Well, you're not scary.
Yeah, Holt was terrifying. But it is something to be admired. Maura Tierney, God works in mysterious ways, and I think that people are put on earth for a reason, and I think that yours is to act. I think you are truly magnificent, and being able to witness you play a loving, caring, devoted mother to the Von Erich sons was a miracle to witness. It was so special for me. I love you so much. Thank you. I mean, every day we were on set, there was so much grace in your performance. It was unbelievable. Lily James, she's not here tonight, but Lily James, I do have to tell you that falling in love with you was the best thing that ever happened to me. On camera. In the film. We were in character when I was falling in love. And it was the best, it was great. But no, seriously, it was the most easy and natural thing ever because just like Pam, the real Pam was to Kevin Von Erich, you were unconditionally loving, supportive, uplifting, and you were emotionally just there for me in ways that opened up. You were really embodied that character and brought a whole female presence to the movie that none of us expected, and it truly touched all of us. So I fell in love with you. Lastly, I do want to thank all, and actually most importantly, the brothers. Thank you so much to the brothers. Thank you, Stanley Simons. Thank you, Harris Dickinson. Thank you, Jeremy Allen White. Thank you so much, guys, for taking this thing on. This is a crazy movie to take on. The story of the Von Erichs is one that is full of family. It's one that is full of courage. It's one that's full of love. It's full of survival.
It's full of slathering themselves in oil and pretend fighting in front of thousands of people.
It's real fighting. We were really fighting. Oil, it was choreographed, okay? It was choreographed.
We got the joke.
But ultimately, it's a story about a bond between brothers that lives on forever. And opportunities like this, they don't come around very often. So it's a special and rare experience. So to be recognized as an ensemble is specifically meaningful because of how we all supported one another over the course of this movie. We were all in it together. We were making a movie about love. And over the course of making the movie, that love became real. Like, no matter what, we always stuck by one another. We were together from the moment that we woke up, from the moment we walked into the ring, through every takedown, through every armbar, through every body slam, jump off the top rope, through every tap out until the bell rang, until the opponent submitted, and until, well, where the fuck are you guys? Jesus Christ, what happened? Where'd you guys go?
Actually, honestly, we thought they were coming until about 30 minutes ago, and Zach had to write this speech on his phone under the table. Like
a fucking asshole. I've literally been sitting there, like, trying to be president, writing this. Okay, it's going over great. Anyways. Anyways, thanks so much, Ensemble Cast. But seriously, we did all of it together, and I think that is what makes, well, we didn't all do it, Moore and I did it all together, I guess. But seriously, all jokes aside, this movie is what an ensemble cast is all about, and to be recognized is you have no idea how much it means. Kevin Von Erich said that despite all of the tragedy he had been through, he considered himself the luckiest man alive in the world because of the bond he had with his brothers. And And I'm so grateful, and I will always be grateful for the team who put this together, for giving me the honor and the privilege to tell this story. And we recognize the great sacrifice that the Von Erich family went through and we recognize the great sacrifice of the Von Erich family in the pursuit of greatness. And congratulations, gentlemen. It's an honor to accept this award on behalf of you guys, on behalf of my brothers, and to dedicate this award to the brothers Von Erich. I know you guys are up there watching from above, and yeah, God bless the National Board of Review. Thank you so much. Thanks for the belt, guys. We appreciate it. This one's for you boys.
Had a hard night. I'll wake you when it's over. I'm gonna try to do this as fast as I can. Okay, good, she's out. Everybody be quiet. Thank you, National Board of Review. But talk about full circle. Indeed, 20 years ago, I received a breakthrough award from this august body. And now 20 years later, at the age of 38, no work. I received this Best Actor award. I can look at this bookended 2 decades and say, okay, I actually did something. I landed somewhere. It's an amazing gift you guys have given me. And you didn't make a mistake. I didn't screw up. So I hope I've made you proud. It's going good, right, Amy? Great, thank you. Works out nicely, too. It's 20 years since the movie Sideways. And now the Holdovers. They're both, coincidentally, made by Alexander Payne. A master filmmaker and a good friend of mine now. A lot of shit went down in 20 years, personally, for me. And in a way, my life is sustained and held aloft and buoyed up by these 2 highlights that Alexander gave me. He's given me the gift of 2 amazing roles in 2 amazing films. He created these extraordinary, ordinary guys, kind of oddball everymen. Erudite obsessive to wine in one instance and classical history in this instance. And they take these obsessions to ridiculous lengths, but really they're just hiding a lot of insecurity and pain and fear and need, kind of like Amy. It's really incredible. What a treat, what a pleasure, you know? Who could have anticipated this? I love playing this part, so impeccably written by Mr. David Hemmingson. I just had to stay out of the way and try not to screw up his words. He's a mess, this guy. He's afraid, he's touchy, he smells. He's like all of us, because frankly, we all smell occasionally, guys. I hate to tell you. But in the end, he's selfless, strangely heroic with his pipe and his hat and his silly toggle coat. And he discovers his superpower, compassion. We all have it in us. And he helps these other 2 characters move forward a little bit, played by Teyana, who every second I spend, you see what she's doing. Every second I get to spend in that woman's presence is just magic. I'm played by Dom Sessa, who is not here, unfortunately. Nice Italian boy. Very nice Italian boy. And I'm going to say this, I'm going to take a risk and say, that kid has the stink of breakthrough actor on him in the future. He's going to get it. Yeah. Am I keeping you up, Amy? Are you out? Are you still? Oh, you're awake. Okay, good. It's a good message this movie delivers. Very simple message for dark times. Find the empathy. Find the common humanity. That's what it's all about.
So I thank Alexander. I thank Alexander for his empathy, his friendship, his humanity. I thank Focus Films for making this so available, this movie, to audiences, and they're really embracing it. It's lovely. I want to thank the team of people, my friends who put up with me every day, Perry Kipperman, Billy Lazarus, Nancy Gates, Molly Kawachi. I'd like to acknowledge my family who aren't here. Mother, father, sister, brother. My son, Sam. He's a good kid, nice Italian boy. My sweetheart, Clara. Once again, Amy Sedaris. And the National Board of Review for keeping an eye on me these 20 years. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Daniel, to receive this honor presented by Daniel. Is just an honor in itself for me. I mean, we did 2 films together, and this is one of the greatest experiences of my life, I must say. And maybe there's time for one more.
Woo! Woo!
He's the best. I can't tell you. I cannot tell you. I gotta thank you, Tanya. Thank you for coming in tonight and doing this. I thank the National Board of Review again. It's just remarkable. I have to mention a few names tonight. I want to make sure because it may be it for us in terms of our presentations. But Dan Friedkin and Bradley Thomas of Imperative, who gave us the book, actually, and Apple, Tim Cook, and Zach Van Amberg, and Jamie Ehrlich, and Eddie Q. People always use that word support, but support doesn't really, it's become abstract. You don't know what support is until you work with people like them, because these guys are amazing. Paramount, and ultimately the Osage Nation itself. Some of the crew members are here, some of the group, the team who made the film here tonight. Rodrigo, of course, and Thelma Schoonmaker, the editor. Mary Ann Bauer, associate producer and researching. Dan Lupi, a producer. And Ellen Lewis on casting. And some of the actors are here. The magnificent Lily Gladstone. Tali Redcorn and Nancy Redcorn and William Below. And actors are, couldn't be here tonight. My old friend Bob De Niro, Jesse Plemons, and so many others. But I'd like to take just a couple of minutes to talk about my other old friend, Leonardo DiCaprio. He couldn't make it here tonight for a really good reason. He's stuck doing, he's right in the center doing prep for Paul Thomas Anderson's new film. Originally Bob De Niro told me about Leo DiCaprio when he worked with him in This Boy's Life. He said, you gotta work with this kid one day. And at that time, De Niro never really recommended anyone to me. So in 23 years, we've made 6 pictures together now. With Leo, Daniel's talking about faith. Yeah, I have faith in him. I know I can depend on him. His immersion in the process of the person he's trying to play within the story is full. His fearlessness is something which has given me life when I make a film. And I think this kind of really, at times, maddening, relentless search for what might be the truth of every character he plays. He knows a genius in terms of cinema, really is. And you could see it in the face. You could see it not only through the eyes, but he has the face of cinema. He doesn't have to say a word. It's all there. It's all there. You could see it in all his films that he made, going from This Boy's Life, a Gilbert Grape picture, which was wonderful, all the way through The Extraordinary, The Revenant. when we started working together around the year 2000, by the time we did Aviator and Departed, I felt a kind of resurgence of my own energy, really. And in many ways, Killers of the Flower Moon is a culmination of all our work together. All the way up, like at the end when he's in the witness stand, I knew I could just hold the camera on him and not cut away, because I knew he would convey everything that was at that decisive moment. And we did one take, and I was moved on set, and that was it. One take. So I see him digging deeper into the corners of a human experience that many of us really can't even bear to even acknowledge. The weakness and the delusions of this guy in the film. You hate him, but you tend to also love him. Into all the contradictions of what it is to be human. I really know he's truly one of the greatest actors in the history of movies. I thank him for everything, as all the films he made together. You know, Lily mentioned my experience at Pine Ridge back in 1974. I just made Mean Streets, and there was a possibility of making a film there, and I was sent there. But I was a kid, I was 29 or so, I didn't understand any of this. I was so naive and so ignorant of what was going on. And what I saw and experienced there with the Lakota at that time, only for a few days, well, I mean, I cannot categorize it, I just can't. But it stayed profoundly with me for almost 48, 50 years. Really, and what helped that also during that time is I became friends with another person who sadly really is not here tonight. That's Robbie Robertson, the great Robert, who's First Nations, half Mohawk, and there was something about being with him for all those years from 76 on that kept me deeply ingrained, so to speak, of the story of the Native American and the First Nations. And then David Grant's book comes along, and I took a chance. I said, well, maybe this is the time to do it. This is the time to embrace it. I was very careful about it. There was a long period of gestation. We did Irishman first because the CGI had to do with de-aging, and if we waited any longer, no CGI could do it. And we were beyond CGI. You know what I mean? So, you did that. It was a year and a half. We're ready. We're working on the script, Eric Roth and I, and then COVID hits. And that stopped everything, and nobody knew what was going to happen, whether we were going to live or die as it was. Luckily, before COVID hit, I made 2 trips to Oklahoma, to Osage County. And now look, I'm a New Yorker. Alright? Give me a minute or two. I'm in New York. I mean, for me, exterior, well, alright, it's outside of a building, and then you go interior, it's a long hallway with one light bulb. Long hallway, you know, narrow, you know. I get to Oklahoma. They said we're going to go to a ranch, the Hughes Ranch. I said, okay, it's a location scout. I get in this SUV, I guess, and they put me in the front seat, and we're driving. I'm starting to go. And I'm looking, it's going straight, and it feels so slow. And after like 40 minutes, I look at this speedometer, I say to myself, what the hell are we going so slow for? They're doing 75 to 80 an hour. There was nothing there. I mean, there was everything there, but nothing. And then finally we get to the ranch, and we make a left, and we get to this gate, another road for another 20 minutes, another 20 minutes, another 20 minutes. And finally we get there, and the guy who is running the place at actually the northwest corner of it, he said, of the Hughes Ranch, a guy named Rewrite said, yep, I'm in charge of the northwest corner. And the Hughes Ranch is 1/10 bigger than the island of Manhattan. And from that point on, something happened. Luckily, this is right before COVID, because I started to see things differently from being there, and to think differently, to think differently visually and narratively. And all these delays, the Irishman shooting, COVID, all the different work on the script, that gave us something very valuable, which was time. it allowed us to approach the story from every angle we could for about 2.5 years. And one of those visits was very important because it was at the Grey Horse District. There are 3 districts there, Pawhuska, Grey Horse, and Hominy. And at that dinner, there was kind of like a community center. I didn't expect it, but there were like 250, maybe more, of the Osage. And they wanted to share a traditional Osage dinner with me and our crew. I think, Rodrigo, you were there? Yeah. So Helen, I think, and a few of us, and we were like sitting there. I didn't realize what was going on. And at one point, I sensed that there was some apprehension about me making this film for the Osage, in terms of the films I may be known for. Like, they're a little violent. Not all of them, but like some, And so they may, anyway, there was some apprehension I felt. But as I sat there, I got clued into something which became a very troubling aspect for the story. People got up and spoke. Marvin Stepson, Wilson Pipestem, Brandy Lemon got up and talked about, and she kind of allayed the fears of apprehension about my films because she said she loved silence. So that was one issue. But then Margie Burkhart got up, and Margie is the granddaughter of Ernest and Molly. She's the granddaughter. And she got up and she said, please remember that it's not simple villain and victim. He said, Molly and Ernest, they loved each other. They loved each other. And that struck me right there. I realized we may be coming to the story from the opposite angle. It may be all wrong. What are we going to do? Then COVID hit, and then that really changed it, in the sense it gave us the time then to go and take the script, because Leo even picked up on it. He says, I think, where's the heart of the story? The heart of the story is Ernest and Molly. They were in love. How could this happen? So we took the whole story, in a sense, and we took the script and we kind of turned it inside out. Instead of coming from the outside in, we went from the inside out. It's a story of love, trust, betrayal, and it had to be told through Molly and Ernest. That love was real, and as hard as that is to accept. And we knew that there was the heartbeat of the picture. That was it. Their relationship, a dance of love and death. And that, for me, was the microcosm of the greater tragedy of this greed, untethered greed, and unchecked power. So, it was perfect. Except all we had to do is now make the movie. And there was COVID, et cetera, we had to stop. So the picture grew as we were making it. It was organic. To give it a living pulse, a human face, because the catastrophe of what had occurred that night that I saw, that night I was at Grey Horse, the catastrophe had a face. And then I began to understand. So for the Osage and us, when they agreed to help us, and all of us agreed to make the film together, that was our all-consuming common effort. I thank the Osage. I thank the Osage Nation for all of it. I thank you. And a generous honor here tonight with this film. Thank you so much.
I'm 4 months older than Tali, and he and I actually grew up together. And it's in our tradition where the first son always leads. But as a first son, I'm going to use my wisdom to let him lead off.
New York, Nikashe, Laganipashe, the good people of New York. Shia Doakepshe, Comrade Kai. I've returned. I'd like to say a few things. At this point, I played the traditional leader in this film, Killers of the Flower Moon. But at home, we're dealing with the struggles of life day in, day out. Getting our children fed, making sure our elders do well,
One of the things we deal with is diabetes among our community. We're struggling and fighting that tooth and nail. So, you know, we're in our meadow, as our deer clan people say. And all of a sudden we look up. There's an Osage word in our ta nikashinka. All the deer had come up and look. And that's when this great movement came over the hill. And it was this movie, Killers of the Flower Moon. And we were confused, but the way they handled it, they came first, as Mr. Marty said, and we were kids call him Uncle Marty now. He came and he reached out to the hardest hit community, which was Grey Horse. And he described that meeting to you. So after a while, we built a trust that this story of our tragedy could be told. So I want to thank Marty. I want to thank the cast. I'd like to thank all that's involved in this movie for reaching out through this barrier that we have among our people worldwide, showing love, care, and respect, and saying we'd love to tell your story. And it's one of the main people that I think is a hero now is Robert De Niro, who stated, and I heard, he wanted to do all his lines in the Osage language. So I think that discussion happened between him and Marty. And at that point, we heard about that and we were so elated. Our children think him as a hero. So without further ado, I'm going to ask my cousin to come up. Thank you all.
Thank you, Tolly. Brother. We're first cousins, but our dads are brothers, but we still call each other brothers. So, and he's always well-versed in the Osage tradition. I actually happen to be a name giver in our clan, the Sijuwashtagi clan, which is the peacemaker clan. So, you know, he and I are filled with peace, and we're not, if we have to, we become warriors, but we prefer not to. But before I say anything about this cast, I don't know if Daniel Day-Lewis is still here. I would be remiss to say in 2007, my son was 8 years old, and I promise you he's gonna be a filmmaker because he lives and breathes it. But my parents picked him up and took him back to their house, and when I got off work, I went and picked him up. And he said, we need to watch this movie. And I said, what? And he goes, yeah, have you seen There Will Be Blood? And I go, well, yeah, I did, but I saw it in the theaters. And he goes, well, we need to watch it again. So I didn't think any more about it until the next morning I asked him, I said, what do you want for breakfast? When I woke him up, and he woke up and he goes, you're a bastard from a basket case. So I got to hear that for a whole year. So thank you, Daniel Day-Lewis. But I wanted to thank Marty. I've said this before in other interviews and stuff. He really earned our trust. Tolly and I, as Osages, he earned our trust because, as you know, in the 20s, from what happened to us, we didn't trust anybody. And so he came in, and as he said, he went to Grey Horse, he ate dinner, he listened to all the elders, and he earned our trust. And it took a while, but we finally started calling him Uncle Marty. And he really just embraced the Osage culture. And I just wanted to thank Marty, but I also want to thank Ellen Thumashkun, Marianne Bauer, Daniel Lupi, Rodrigo. I mean, these people really came and embraced our culture, and it was very important. They just didn't tell us what to do. They listened to what we wanted to do. And not to keep everybody here, but I also wanted to point out that there's two actors here that played Osages, and one of them is William Below over here. He played Henry Rowe. And he embodied, Henry Rowan was our cousins, the Grays' great-grandfather and grandfather. So we knew the story, and he embraced what he was going through at the time. He didn't have control. He didn't have control of his finances, his land. He couldn't make a decision. and he was a proud Osage, but he could not live in the world that he was in. I mean, and it just must have just drove him, you know, crazy. And it reminds me of Tolly and I's great-grandfather, Raymond Redcorn, who was poisoned during this time. And my grandfather and his two brothers, they tried to investigate it. They said he was poisoned, but nothing ever happened. So my dad never got to meet his grandfather and his brothers and his sisters. And so that took that away from us and all those stories that he had, because he and his brother were one of the last of the non-Anjingas, which Tolly plays. And so we lost a lot of learning from that, and my dad did too, but they did the best they could. And now I wanted to talk about Lily, and I've said this before, I've said it in another time, but when we were in a roundhouse scene, and she's sitting over there, and I'm talking, and I had to look at her, because, you know, her sister had been murdered. And the look on her face reminded me of my grandmother who lived through the 20s and all of her aunts, my great aunts. And as I watched her, I could see my grandmother and my great aunts in her expressions as I'm talking about it, and the way she looked and the tears in her eyes, it almost made me cry. And, you know, I'm getting emotional now, but I just wanted to thank Lily for embracing and listening to the elders, the elder aunts, all the sisters, the nieces, and really, Lily, you embodied an Osage, strong, resilient woman that made it through that, just like my grandmother and my great aunts. And so I just wanted to point that out. These two actors embodied Osage, and I appreciate it. And with that, I'm just going to introduce Marty.
Thank you, Nancy and Tolly. I can give one more example of how we worked together, and how, as you can sense from Yancy and Tolly, the close nature of how all this came about. Because people talk about, oh, you know, you work with the Osage Nation and everything is so authentic. It goes beyond mere authenticity. I mean, authenticity, yes, we had, you know, as much as possible, every costume, every, you know, the costume beadwork, otter skin hats, ribbon work, all kinds of things were as accurate as possible. The language was being learned again, from what I understand, in terms of being taught. Chris taught Lily and Leo and Bob language, and others too. The contribution, to give you an idea, this picture, we made it together, you know. There was a sense, I wanted a sense of freedom, but I had to have control at the same time. So I had to do it within certain limitations, you know. There's this scene in the roundhouse that you just talked about where they're all sitting there, and Yancy had actually improvised some of his dialogue about, you know, who are these guys who come to us now? They're nothing but common vags. It's a short for vagabonds. They say they're my friends, but I don't believe they are. You know, some of that was improvised, but primarily the whole scene was in this set of a real roundhouse we had made, and it was very hot. And I'm watching this, and I'm listening to it, and there was Yancy and Everett Waller sitting next to him, and Everett is the bigger fella. Yancy plays Chief Bonnycastle, and Everett Waller plays Paul Red Eagle. Now, we're not trained actors, you know, so we're sitting there and we're dealing with the scene, and bottom line is a lot of the dialogue came from the transcripts of these meetings that actually happened in 1920 and 21. But I started to I said, it's good, but it sounds, it's something not quite right yet. I didn't know what to do. And it would seem to me we were getting all this exposition. We needed it. We certainly needed it, but it needed some other kind of life in it. But I needed then to turn the camera and shoot some close-ups of the people reacting. The women and some of the other Osage men and boys and girls reacting. And I knew that Everett Waller was a very expressive man. very open, very, very much. He would, on cue, he would just go into monologues and speeches. I said, I need some off-camera dialogue, okay? I'm gonna put 2 cameras down. And while I'm over here, I want to get this person, that person. Can you do me a favor and say some things off camera just to provoke them, get them going, to get some looks in their eyes and stuff? Okay, just. So I set it up. I go out for a second. I go into the little tent and I see the 2 angles on. I see the face of this person. There was a little trouble in terms of the tightness in the scene, so we had to be careful. And I hear this noise and this rumbling. All of a sudden, De Niro comes out and he goes, Marty, come back in. And I went in and I saw Everett going at it off camera, and it was beautiful. I thought it was beautiful. We cut, and I said, could you do that sitting down? And he said, it's your world. And they sat down next to Yancey, and that's what you see in the film. He just goes on, and I want to get this right, because we set the 2 cameras out. What happened was that all the distinctions between historical and contemporary, between documentary and fiction just melted away. He spoke for the ages, you see. And a direct plea, it ends with a beautiful line in which he says, we never prayed for the great life. We never prayed for great life. We just prayed for life. We just prayed for life. And that's how the whole picture was made. Thank you.